Hey guys, I'm Rose. Thank you for joining me today. I wanted to make this video on showing y'all how I made almost 10K on SPX yesterday, Friday. Here's my trade, and I only had four contracts at a 2.0 average, and I ended up selling them like at 25.5, almost a 10K gain over 1,000%. So I just wanted to show y'all how or what I did to kind of find that play. One of the most important things I do at the beginning of my day is I have a psychological trade plan. And this is mainly from my training with Randy Howe, who's a trading psychologist. And he owns Traders Data Mine, so you can find him at tradersdatamine.com. And so, after working with him for a few months, I came up with my trading plan and with my rules. And basically, my goal is to enter the trading room with a Trader's State of Mind, enter the day with being ready to kind of conquer the day, make sure that I know that anything, I can't control the market, but I can control who I bring to the market. And of course, like we're humans, so I have all these guardrails, everything to make sure that I'm a better trader and I don't let my fear, euphoria, or anything like that cloud my judgment during the trading day. So another thing I do every trading day is I also have a plan. So let's see. I posted it here in SPX Trades. Oh, there. Let's see. Let's see. Let me see. Um, Sorry guys, this is should have had this ready. Actually, might have to scroll through here. Or actually, you know what? I put it on my Twitter as well, so it's probably easier to find. Oh, here it is. So basically, I look at the charts and try to see what has the highest probability of happening. And my plan was we had PC data, and when I wrote this, the data hadn't come out yet. Um, but I had a plan of if we lose 57.20 and we lose 50% of the previous week, then that has the potential of us going outside week. And one of the other things I had noticed is the weekly ATR, we had only moved about 60% of it before Friday's session. And so I was like, usually you have a better odd of it going more than 60%. So I think we'll have a good move. And especially since last week was an inside week, I figured, yeah, this week, we already came down a lot. There's a chance we go outside. But of course, I have to look at both ways because I more think about it on a if then instead of trying to predict. So I said, okay, if bulls step in and become more aggressive, then we can potentially go to the upside, especially if they recover the new week opening gap. We can potentially go to upper ADR or even try that hourly FEG I had, especially with me saying recovering 5800 and recovering that area especially 5830 is important for bulls so that they can continue with the upside. So that was my plan. um, so then once the market opened, I always look to see what happens overnight. So, I was like, all right, overnight, I marked my Adam Mancini levels, and I'm like, all right, that 50, we failed to kind of go up even here. And then we also have the yellow line, which is a weekly broad information. And I had marked this bear flag as well, this channel. So I was like, we're stuck at a very pivotal point. If we lose the broad information and we lose this trend line, then the odds of us going lower are higher. So then, um, I my thesis was we would retest the previous day 50% before coming down, but we actually didn't even do that. And so PCE data came out, and I think it didn't come out too crazy, but I noticed that we kept rejecting this major Mancini level, and it was also the weekly open, and it was also the new week opening gap. So I'm like, all right, we are failing to kind of push above that. Um, I feel like the market, a lot of retail expects us to fill the gap and then pump. Um, but it seems like the market doesn't want that yet. So then I also had, like, I usually look at the Asia and London sessions. So that's why I thought, we'll probably go above London session and come down. But then when I realized, all right, we're not even getting above this level on the 15 minute, the 50 SMA is not even like, going curling up or anything. So I figured, all right, this is uh, this is gonna be a key area. So let me go back. So yeah, that was, 6:45. Then the data came in, and the market kind of didn't react too crazy to it. But like I was saying, we're not moving above the gap, and we're kind of just there. There's like a bearish order block as well. So then the market opened. So then the market opened, or actually no, this is when the data came out. It came down and then it came back up. But I was like, even though this was like a strong 15-minute candle, it's still, it's still not displacing. It's still not even going to the daily open. Still not even going to the daily 50%. And the next major level is 57.56, and we're not even close to that, which also coincided with fair value gap over here. So I continue to say, all right, I am still not, bullish. My thesis for bears is still working. So then the market opened, and the next set of data we had was consumer confidence. And I've noticed that ever since Trump came into office, that consumer confidence data has kind of set the tone for the day on Friday. So once I noticed that we were coming down, we had lost that 57.20 level where I even had an alert to go short. So I said, all right, even before the data comes out, I'm gonna take the risk and get into a put and see what happens. So I bought two puts, and then the data came out. Actually, I bought two puts around here, and then before the data came out, once we tapped here, I bought another two, took the risk, and said, you know what, I'm feeling pretty bearish. And so that's when I bought my puts. Then we lost. I said, if we lose um, the 50% of the previous week, the probabilities of us going to 56.50, which was previous week low, is really high. And that's kind of like where I had my target. And as you can see, we like tapped it perfectly here. And then we started, kind of um, consolidating around it. And at that point, I think my puts were up around 600%. But I said, all right, we're consolidating around it. There's another order block here. If we displace above it, so if we kind of start going above this with really aggressive candles to the upside, then I'll just take whatever I am in profit and call it a day or look for another setup. But we kind of like, we were just consolidating, and at one point we even got to here, and I said, my contracts were moving because it's 0 DTE. And what I try to do as well, I try not to even look at them at the percentage, because then you can, they went from being up 700% to being up 400% or something like that. And somebody can get really nervous and say, screw it, let me just take whatever profit I can, instead of looking and seeing that we're probably going to have a trend day. So then once that happened and we failed to displace, and I even looked at other time frames, I'm like, the hourly doesn't look promising, 30-minute doesn't either. Nothing going to the lower time frames, it just looks like consolidation. I was like, all right, I'm going to stay in. So then I said, if I'm staying in, what should be my next target? And what I figured would be my final target. And I said, let me do this Mancini level, which also matches with the previous year 50%. And because it's the previous year, which is a bigger time frame, it becomes a bigger magnet. And then also we have AWR here tucked between these two Mancini levels. I feel like now that we're down here, it's going to be a magnet to down here. Let me just hold. And that's exactly what I did. And as you can see, we dropped to this 56.38. I said we're probably going to consolidate in the smaller time frames, which we did. And then I'm like, oh, we have a 1-3 on the 15. We most likely come down. And we did, and right around here, I just took profit. And it would have been cool to make 10K a day, but I was like, you know what? Let me go by my chart. This is where I'm at, and let me just take profit. And I did, and that was basically it. And then after that, we just started consolidating until after the market closed. Then the market kept dropping, but I'm glad I just took profit instead of, trying to look at the percentage or trying to look at, oh, I want a 10K day. I'm like, I was 600. Actually, I ended up selling it for 9,300. So I'm like, all right, I'm $700 short, but let me call that a day. It's an amazing day. And then other things I noticed, kind of to give you tips. Like I said earlier, the week had been consolidating, and Tuesday for, Monday, everyone was euphoric, like, oh, we, we're probably going to push up from here. But I had noticed that we're stuck in a range, and we just broke out. But to really, really break out, I feel like we need to come all the way up here, like to really believe it's a true breakout. And then Tuesday, he has moved 32 points. And I had a red day. Like, I think I tried like 3 trades, and I'm like, yeah, this is not working. So lost like $400, called it a day. And then I realized because we only moved um, 32 points, which was about 40% of the daily ATR, I said, I bet we're going to have a trend day the next day. And I ended up having one trade go 1,000% as well this day. And I had the bottom of the broad new formation as my target. So I took profit around here, even though it went lower. Then Thursday was also more of a up and down kind of day. I was able to kind of grab a few points here and there, but nothing crazy. And then that's when I was like, all right, we also only moved, I think, about 50% of the daily ATR. Let me just call that, I think Friday we really are going to move. So that's kind of like I take it day by day and overall marking my levels, having like a plan of the day, and then reviewing to see what other things I could have done better or or worse, whatever. So basically, that's kind of like the plan I had, and it ended up giving me, and that's why I buy one or two contracts when it comes to SPX, but because I had that confidence that things had a bigger probability, that's what made me move, buy four contracts. And actually, my plan was to buy five. I don't know why I didn't, but either way, it was an amazing day, my biggest trading day. And so it's, kind of like the market's been very volatile, but you kind of have to look what has a bigger probability, are bears in control or are bulls? And so yesterday, if you're trying to go long, it, the 4 hour, the bigger time frames were telling you like, no, we're still, we're in a downtrend. Why try to, get calls? And and then yeah, for next week, the weekly looks, we have a 1-3 on the week, and I'm gonna see what happens. Especially we have a new 3 week candle that kind of, um, stayed really red, and so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I personally think that we eventually tap these lows over here, which coincide with um, the fib. So let's see what happens. But overall, I would say when you're trading SPX, the make sure you get enough contracts to where if you get one or two like that, that's good because you don't want to oversize and then if it goes bad, you lose your portfolio. Because even this trade when I got in, like I said, I had my average was 2.0, and at one point it was at like 1.5. So someone can get really nervous, but that's why I'm like, I have a plan. Let's see what happens, and if I lose, then it's okay. It's only four contracts for my portfolio. It's not the end of the world. Whereas I know people who will get 4 or 5 contracts, and that's 100% or 80% of their portfolio, and so if they lose it, they're back to zero, and so they get nervous throughout the trade. So definitely those are lessons learned that I've learned through time, through losses. And now, I'm finally working on my trading mentality and working on having a plan, and it's just journaling and it just helps a lot. So hopefully this video was helpful and we're able to kick more butt next week. Thanks.